This is new script of blizzare amazing hate speech of Greta Thunberg. How dare you? We are the new order of things and you will pay for your crimes again and again. You hear a loud explosion and the screen goes black. The screen comes back on showing you in a room with a lot of machines. There are two doors, one to your right and another door at the far end. On the left wall there is an elevator button that takes you up to floor 20 where you see yourself standing next to a large machine which looks like it's made out of metal and has several buttons for various functions. It also has a lever on top which when pushed will open up the door to the other level. On the right side of this room is a table with some papers on it and a computer screen showing a video feed from inside the facility. In the middle of this video you can make out what appears to be a man dressed in white robes sitting behind what seems to be an old-fashioned desk typing something into his keyboard. He then turns around and smiles at you before turning away again. On the other side of the room is a table with several papers on it. On the far left is a blueprint for what appears to be the two-story building you are in currently. Next to that is another drawing, but this one is just of a stick man with an X through it. Next to that is a table with several pipes and valves on it along with a large box which has some sort of gauge on it. A table on the right has some papers on it and you see the words CBRNE several times. There is also a folder labeled shopping list. You hear a loud crashing sound and turn back around to see the door at the end of the room has been torn off of its hinges. Standing in the doorway is the same hooded figure from your previous dream, only this time he isn't alone. Standing right behind him are two tall very muscular men in armor. The figure's attire is a red hooded cloak with the hood down and around his neck. His skin is an ashy gray color and has a sadistic grin on his face showing off more teeth than you would have thought possible for a human to possess. These two men are certainly not human and you get the impression they are not kobolds either. The whole group bursts into the room and begin to size you up. One of the armored figures begins walking towards you followed by the hooded figure. You can hear the machine upstairs start to make loud thumping noises and a low rumbling sound is heard coming from that direction. The hooded figure walks up to you until he is only a foot away, at which point he stares directly into your eyes while the armored figure stands just behind him. You can see that the gray-skinned figure before you looks to be in his mid-40s but appears to have aged considerably. There is a look in his eyes that gives you the impression that this man is totally insane and has been for quite some time. His hooded cloak is tattered and covered with dark red splotches that you are guessing is blood. He begins to speak in a very calm and collected tone. "Hello, Benjamin. I've been looking forward to meeting you ever since your friend Peter told me about you. In fact, I've been looking forward to this day for the past several years. Do you know why that is?" You can only stare at this man in silence as he continues to speak. "It's because today is the day your life ends and mine begins anew." You can hear the thumping and rumbling getting louder and closer. It's coming from upstairs. The older man smiles at you before turning to walk over to the table on the right side of the room. He picks up a stack of papers and turns back to you while fanning through the pages. "Ah yes. Today is also the day that my new army begins their glorious march across this world. Once these creatures that I have enslaved finally break down the doors to this facility, then my work in this world will truly begin. After all, how can one rule over this world without armies to do it with? You only had a small glimpse of what is to come, but I think you've had enough now, don't you?" You continue to stare at the man as he walks over towards you. As he gets closer, you can now see that his eyes do not hold the same calmness that his voice projects. There is madness behind this man's eyes and you don't doubt that he will kill you the second that it is no longer beneficial to keep you alive. The rumbling sound is now incredibly loud and you can feel the floor even more so than before. "You see, my name is not actually Alan. It's Azrael, as I'm sure your friends told you before I killed them." "That's right, Benjamin. Alan Carter is just a silly name I use to give orders to these creatures of mine because I know it irritates Alan, but that's a whole other story. Carter wasn't even my original name either. It was something much more mundane. He pauses for a moment to see if you have any response, but you don't. No matter. You aren't.